Cheers, the noisy sub. In doing research for this video, I went through the Beatport's top 100 in order to pick some of the sounds for this video. This sound was probably up there in the top 4 being used in a lot of these tracks. The way to execute is simple. All we really need is a sine wave, some noise. If you want to be unique, you can input the noise from your TB with an antenna. From there, -3 octave range. That means in Ableton, we hit C3 range. At the bottom left, you can use X to go to there so that when you hit the note, you get something that sounds like so. From there, the only thing we're missing is some distortion in order to wave shape this sound into the sine one. Play around with the level of the noise. OTT if you're not Fox Stevenson. From there, it's just the way that you decide to mix it and use it in your own track. But that is going to be the noisy sub, the moist cavern sound. This is the best way to describe this sound. It usually sounds like someone can't commit fully to FM, but it sounds kind of cool with a bunch of reverb, and usually you got some very chill, tamed, but hard drums. Now the way this sound works, and we'll do 2 ways. Now the traditional way is to utilize FM, and the good thing about Serum is it does have FM capability, so we can use FM from B. From there, we're going to shape the sound to what we want it by routing LFO1 to the level. This is going to tell pretty much, the LFO is going to tell the level like, hey, move your fucking ass to the right. Do. Like so. From there, we're going to activate trig, trip, and dot to reach new rates. And the rate's going to be the time of it. Once you have the rate you like, from there, again, I'm going to put the octave range down to -3 as that's going to allow me to play at the optimal setting with our sub. Now from here, I'm going to utilize another sine wave, okay? And that one, I can play around with the octave range on it, okay? Now the level will be going down on this one. Okay, and then from there, we're going to move this guy up. Notice when I play with the octave range, it influences the sound, even though the level's not up on it. And that's because, again, we're adding this sine wave and having it make love to this sine wave and just add some upper harmonics. But the key to this sound is the horrible reverb that I'm just kidding. It sounds good, but the reverb that goes on top. Now, if you're going to be running it through Serum and this is the way you work, hey, respect. Okay, but make sure you do low cut that. Okay, so we have that. Let's move this up. Okay, now from here, there's these weird pitch bends that usually occur with it. There's a couple of ways to do this. Number one, you can automate your fine. So you shall recommend you put like a macro on this guy. Alt-Shift-Click to make it unipolar. That means one direction. And then we can pull this down so that way. And you can see how it sounds really. So after that, I think you guys know what's up. Okay, so from there, again, you can play with octave ranges to get a different sound. Okay, you can increase this guy here in order to... Okay, you can make it a little slower. Again, these guys have a lot of swag most of the time, so... Okay, and as you can see, that happens now in Serum. If you do that, you can see nothing goes. So you can hit configure, click on the macro, and then from there you got this, and you got a really cool sound as you can see, and then really higher up. Now with this sound, you don't really need to stick to the theory behind it. The point of learning the theory is so that you can do what everyone else is doing and then say, F it, mom said I would be great in life. And I'm going to put effort into finding unique variations to this. So again, if you want the sound, that's cool. But from there, you can start playing around with distortion. Oh, and now we get something a little bit more fierce. Again, you can play around with the octave range. You can play around with different harmonics, aka the chord. From there, you can process differently. Again, you can do a lot of stuff, but learning the theory behind these sounds really helps. Now, if you like these kind of sounds, make sure to check out the brand new drum and bass sound bank that I released over at evilsounds.com. It's going to contain a bunch of sounds created by me, somewhat of an outsider, but a professional sound designer. But check it out if you enjoy this tutorial. The pushed saws. Now, this is probably one of the ones that a lot of people make videos for, but there's various variations to the push saw. And again, similar to the noisy sub, it all entails heavy distortion and wave shaping. Now, I made a video about this called the jump up technique you need to know, but the idea of it is that we're going to run a bunch of saws, maybe even a sine here and there, to heavy distortion, play around with the volume in order to gain a new sound And from here, you can also create foghorns and whatnot, and that's a little bit of foreshadowing for what's coming in the video. So the first thing we can do with push saws is utilize a saw that's going to be at 3, and then one that's going to be at 7, and then we can distort here, and then semitone 7 because it's the perfect 5th. Doesn't sound too good, but now we have that. However, it doesn't end here. You could do a lot of really cool stuff like utilize filters and then influence the frequencies. Now, when you do stuff like this behind distortion, it will affect the distortion. And this is what people call filtering technique. Notice how it sounds different. That sounds dirtier as well. Again, I can play with this fine here. Coolest sounds that you can get is move this to the left, put an LFO, and we're using LFOs to tell stuff to move to the right. And now we could go a little faster, go up an octave. We can zero that. But from here, the cool thing is that now I can use a sine, and that gives me a different sound. And from there, I could slow this down, and you can start to get these really cool tones. Now, originally, I wanted to make a video on foghorns, but it seems like everyone already beat me to it on YouTube, okay? So, however, again, you're getting a bunch of sounds in this video, and hopefully some of them you don't know how to make yet. There's 2 ways people usually teach the foghorn. The first one is heavy distortion. You're going to have 3 saws, wavetables, and you're going to wave shape. So, again, we can have a sine here. I could have maybe this guy here, and here you could go maybe with like, I don't know, a square. Here you can have this, and then from there, they're going to be ran into a filter, and aka utilizing filtering techniques, and from there you can input a resonance and whatnot. And then you're going to have the LFO again, which seems to be popping up a lot. So if you don't know about LFOs, consider checking out my complete guide to master Serum. Here, it's free on YouTube, and I think it's better than all the paid courses out there on it as I break it down in a practical format for you. From here, we are going to be applying this to the level of everything. So this is where this patch starts to get complex. So we're going to do that here, here, and we're going to move that cutoff to the right. You can also increase the drive here if you want extra distortion. And then from there, we're going to activate your trig and then set our rate. From there, let's play around with some of these. Maybe we wanted to go a little slower, so let's do that. And maybe the square wasn't such a good idea. From here, I'm going to choose maybe the filter to be a little less open. And put some reverb. From there, we're going to add another filter again. Here, maybe with some maybe a little less open. Oh, you see how that works there? So Alt-Shift-Click, unipolar again. Okay, so from here now, if I want this wide, I can apply a bit of noise. Again, I could play around with the wavetables and do really cool. Those are sine waves. A lot of movement just because of the detunement, so we get rid of it. Now again, if we want to get that dying well sound on these, we can always just click and get the pitched on effect like that while still maintaining the right key of the song, if that matters in the genre of jump up. Okay, so those are the first way that I saw a lot of people teaching the foghorn. Again, wave shaping. The other way is to utilize FM. And again, you can still utilize heavy distortion, but it just depends on what you want. But we're going to shape again with an LFO. But this time we're going to use FM on this guy. And now on the right, oscillator B, again, no level. And now we're going to influence the foghorn with this guy. Now, the cool thing about this way is it's a little bit different and you can get very interesting results. Again, this guy at 3, maybe this guy, we play around with the FM ratio, aka here we have 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. The higher, the more higher harmonics, but you do lose a little bit of power. So just keep that in mind. And what we're going to do is have it like so. Now from there, let's go higher FM ratio. Okay, we got a nice little cool sound. Now let's get this right. Play with the shape of the LFO. Okay, and I'm not a fan of that saw. That sounds nice. Okay, so we can always distort now. A little bit of a different vibe. Again, the hard thing about these sounds is, as you heard, is not getting too carried away. And again, we could do that really cool effect as before. From there, a saw. And again, we can utilize a filter if we don't like the top end from the saw. Now with the Foghorn, again, as we've noted, a lot of it is wave shaping and FM and whatnot. But what if we want to add movement to it? What I recommend you guys do is utilize a filter, and then from there, I'm going to utilize some sequences. Now, what I usually do is I'll buy sample packs, sound banks here and there myself, because I like to make music as well. But one of the things I do is I save the wavetables and I save the LFO shapes from some of the presets to make my life easier as a sound designer and as well as a producer. For instance, here, if I want to have a sequence, but I'm too iffy on what to do, I can always come to them and see if I can get one to do cool, like stuff like... And again, if you're not Fox Stevenson OTT, Subby Squares. As a sound designer for like 10 years, I've realized that a lot of the times some sounds might sound like it's FM, but it's not. And one of those is whenever you have a square with a low pass and like a high resonance on it. It always seems to give an FM vibe. And again, a lot of people always ask how to make this bass from Gorgon City or how to make this wub from so-and-so. And a lot of times, you know, you can go either way, but it just depends what vibe you're looking for. Now, this one is simple. It's usually going to be a bass sound that you're going to hear in a lot of tracks. And what we're going to do is just have a trig. I'm going to put a square. Now, to a lot of us, we'll see, oh, that's a square, right? But the key here is this. You know, you're going to have it like this, where you could barely kind of, sounds like that. And that's like one of, like a really cool sound, very basic, right? But it sounds complex in its own right because of the way that the square sounds. And again, if I do this, like, it has a very FM vibe, right? So that's why I'm always like, damn it, these sounds are hard. But again, this is going to be one that comes up a lot as well in these kind of tracks with a bit of reverb on top, low cut again. And you could do a lot of really cool stuff with it. You can be Mr. Oiso, but here we can put it lower. The Reese Bass. So the idea behind a Reese is you're going to have two saws that are going to be like a little bit detuned with fine. Usually if they're both down the center and you don't have unison, it sounds cool because you get this cool effect. And the reason for this effect is, again, with pitch, it's the speed that the wave is traveling in, right? So this, you can technically say this guy is a little faster, but not a lot. So eventually they start getting out of sync, the saws, and then that's what you're hearing, the movement in between them. And then from there, if you play high up, and then even higher, you can see how it sounds really cool. Artbat do this in progressive house in the track Flame. And again, all they're doing is adding heavy distortion with like a filter. Again, I have a pack that has that sound. Now, the one I want to teach you guys is going to have a little bit of detunement, but not too much. But the reason I want to show it to you guys is because I want to open your eyes to the ideas of creating different kind of Reese basses where you don't really need to do that one that you hear a lot. So for this one, what we're going to do is use a filter. Now, this one's inspired by Urban Dawn. He's a drum and bass producer, so I'm giving him credit. Give myself a little bit of credit just for working on just trying to get it. From there, we're going to use a cutoff on this guy. And again, we have the saws detuned just a little bit. You can choose to detune more if you want, but it's going to sound like this. Okay, from here, we're going to activate mono legato with high portamento so we can Okay, sounds like that. In fact, I don't even want to do the portamento anymore. We're gonna leave it like so. Maybe just a tiny, or sorry, the detunement here. So we're just gonna do it like that. From there, in order to get the movement that you usually get with Reese, I'm instead gonna opt to use an LFO on the cutoff. Now, if you've been watching this video, you already know where this is going because, as you know, filters will dictate distortion a lot. Really cool. From there, we're gonna distort. Now, okay, a little bit of OTT. The highs are, yeah, so we're gonna use a post filter here from a distortion. That just means the filter is gonna do it after distortion, not before. From here, I'm gonna add a filter. This is the first time you're gonna see these. It's gonna be a special phaser one, maybe a -24. And the idea is gonna be to add just a tiny bit more movement to the sound. Now for this, we don't have to run the mix really high up. We're just gonna put it at 100. And again, all we're doing is creating more movement for the sound. From here, I am going to utilize a Haas effect on this. So I'm going to direct out the sub that we have. And then from there, in order to execute a Haas effect, all you really have to do is left side 1 and the right close 10 milliseconds and above, which is going to make the sound really wide. Detunement here going up. Resonant. So the one we did is going to be based on this patch called Rescaping Fart. If you like the sound of that, again, there's a bunch of Reese's in this pack, but this is going to be where we got it from. Now, before Cymatics ditched EDM or drum and bass or dubstep and went to hip hop, they used to make a lot of patches that a lot of people would use. In there, you could learn a lot of really cool stuff, and it sounds like a lot of the Beatport's Top 100 have these sort of dubstepy sounds that are being used in them. Now, there's a couple of techniques to talk about in this one, and the most interesting one is going to be this one here, where we're going to have this modulation that occurs on the sound. Now, from here, we're going to move this guy to the left, this guy to the right, so we get something like this. Let's increase the gains and maybe play with the quadrants. Now from there, we're gonna go -3. Get something like a wow, formanty kind of thing. Distort. Okay. Now from here, you're gonna grab pretty much your favorite wavetable, and I recommend you get a lot. Again, like I say, when I buy packs, I usually save the wavetables, and I like to use them, as you can see. For there, like for instance, here we have the massive ones that you can go through. For instance, a Digit Cook. It's gonna look like that. Put it there. From there, level. Yeah. Find some cool ones here and there. Now, a lot of patches, cool ones, can be made this way if you have the right wavetables. However, if you don't, and let's say you have something like this, then the other thing we could do is FM now. And remember, with FM, the best way to kind of think about it is, depending on the FM ratio, you're adding harmonics to the sound. That's the best way to think about it. From there, I'm going to go with maybe a square and try that. And then you don't have to have the FM. Again, go with this modulation. You can always make it more complex by having one that happens slowly going up, maybe. Again, you can do cool stuff like that. And the last tip I'll give you guys, which is probably one of the coolest things that I did for the pack, is holding Alt, you can copy this LFO, and let's assume that you want a certain thing to happen at a certain spot in your sequence, because I think this is one of the strongest ways to create drops if you know what you're doing with Serum. Then you can do this, and now you can route this LFO3 maybe to I don't know, maybe the Alpha 3 to the master tune of the global. And then from there, put where you want to go. Let's say -1 ST. And then if you don't like that, you can always do this and maybe Sine to SAW FM. So I just saw that my voice didn't record for this part of the video, guys. So this is why change of look. But this sound is probably going to be one of the more popular ones you're going to find in these kind of jump up tracks that are dominating the Beatport drum and bass charts. And the way it works, again, like the title says, we're going to use FM from a saw. Lower that down. From there, we're going to use the LFO that we use to shape most of these sounds to get it going. -3. We have a, believe it's going to be a 3-to-1 ratio now. And you get the sound there. From there, we're going to put the LFO there so we don't hear the sine wave without the FM. And then we can have really cool there. Now that's going to be a very classic sound, as you guys know. We can also do like so, distort heavily. Now again with the FM, like other sounds, you can do +7. There was one I heard like this, which I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make a tutorial on it, but other than that, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to support the channel, make sure you head over to evilsounds.com, where you can find Odyssey, a brand new drum and bass pack. I also have the Dark Bass series, which has receiving a lot of good support, so I appreciate you guys for supporting my work. As always, guys, again, support helps grow this channel, helps me keep going, and maybe I'll afford a damn mic that doesn't cut off mid-video, but I'm just kidding, guys. I'm pretty good on this side of stuff. I just want to bring value to you guys as always. But you guys have a great rest of the day. You guys have a good night and much love.